I'm President of the 2nd 33rd Battalion Association, which gives me a strong affiliation with the 1st 33rd, in which I also had an uncle serving. However, as time is the essence, and our schedule is a tight one today, I will first and foremost introduce to you formally the French Consul-General, Monsieur Jean-Claude Poimboeuf. Please give a welcome to the Consul-General, if you would. And also a formal welcome to our distinguished guests, Norma and Ruth Herborn. I'll very briefly run through the people sitting at the top table, and this is the order in which I have them, and after I have named them, then we will give them a collective welcome. Ms. Belinda Rafter, Ms. June Skinner, Mr. Russ Skinner, Miss Jenny Beath, the Honourable Ian Causley. Has he arrived? Thank you, sir. Ms. June Causley, my wife Joan, Mrs. Audrey Marriott, and Mr. Ethel Marriott. Would you please extend them the usual welcome? Now, as I mentioned, the time is the essence, and we have to press on before the meal, and also so that our Sydney visitors can get away to make their connections. I would now like to call on the Consul-General to make the presentation of the French Legion of Honour Medal to Mrs. Norma Herborn. Sir, would you please? The Consul-General.
Mrs. Norma Herborn and members of the family, the Honourable Ian Causley, member for Page, and Mrs. Causley, representatives of the Department of Veterans Affairs, my good friends Jenny and Belinda, Mr. Phil Curry, President of the 2nd 33rd Battalion Association, Mr. Arthur Marriott, Vice President of the Grafton RSL, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure for me to be with you today in Grafton on a very special occasion. And I would like to express my warmest thanks to the Grafton District Services Club for the excellent arrangements made for today's presentation. It is a special occasion because we have gathered to pay homage to a very special person the late Cyril Herborn. Almost exactly 1 year ago, Mr. Jean-Pierre Masseret, French Minister for Veterans Affairs, paid an official visit to Australia. He announced officially that on the occasion of the 80th anniversary of the end of World War I, the surviving veterans would be conferred the Legion of Honor. The Legion of Honor was established 2 centuries ago by Napoleon Bonaparte and is now France's highest and most prestigious award. Sadly, Cyril Herborn passed away in September 1998 before a representative of the French authorities could come to Grafton to present him his medal and diploma. May I, on this occasion, express my deep feelings of sympathy to his widow and to his family. Mrs. Norma Herborn, by coming here today to present you Cyril's medal and diploma, I wish to show that France's gratitude will survive those veterans, all those volunteers who sacrificed their life for a war which was raging thousands of miles away from home. Ladies and gentlemen, never forget the Australians. These few words that I just quoted can be seen in every classroom in the Victoria School in Villers-Bretonneux, a village in the Somme area in northern France where Cyril Herborn's battalion fought. Cyril Herborn was one of those veterans whose courage and sacrifice is not and will not be forgotten by France. Cyril was a young man, aged 20 years, when he enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in April 1916 at Armidale, not far from here. He joined the 2nd Reinforcements, 33rd Battalion, with the regimental number 1959, which happens to be my date of birth. After a short period of training, Cyril embarked for Poimboeuf in England, where he arrived at the end of October 1916. He soon proceeded to France and joined the 33rd Battalion. A few days after his arrival, he was hospitalized with scabies. Back on the battlefield, he was wounded in action at Messines on the 11th of June 1917 and was evacuated to England. 3 months later, he rejoined his unit. In April 1918, he was again wounded in action, severely gassed, and evacuated to England. He again rejoined his unit at the end of August 1918 to participate in the last terrible weeks of the conflict. Cyril, who was appointed Lance Corporal in September 1918, saw actions in operations against the Hindenburg Line at Argicourt, Bullecourt, and Bonny. All these names are now synonymous of great Australian sacrifices and casualties. Cyril returned to Australia in October 1919 after 4 years of war and suffering. In recognition of his overseas service, he was awarded the British War Medal and the Victory Medal. It is, I think, quite appropriate that we pay homage to Cyril's services on this very day when he used to meet with his friends of the 2nd 33rd Battalion Association. And I'm sure that had he still been with us, he would have liked being presented his medal on this very day. Mrs. Norma Herborn, I'm now proud and happy to present you on behalf of the French government the Medal of Knight of the Legion of Honor, which was awarded to Cyril in recognition of his outstanding contribution on the Western Front. So this is the Medal of Knight of the Legion of Honor, which which I am very happy to present you. And with the medal goes a diploma, which has been signed by the President of the French Republic, Mr. Jacques Chirac.
Mr. Chairperson, distinguished Poimboeuf, distinguished guests and very special friends. On behalf of the family of Cyril Herborn, I would just like to echo the sentiments expressed quietly by my mother. This is a very, very special occasion. Dad would have received the medal very humbly. He would have been very, very proud of it, and he would have understood and appreciated the great honour that went with it. All of this would have been tempered with the memories of experience on the battlefields of World War I. The gesture by the French people of the presenting of the Legion of Honour, I think, is just magnificent. It's just so heartwarming to think that so long after, that the actions and deeds of those soldiers could just have drifted into history and sort of been forgotten. And this is not happening. And it's being recognised so markedly by people, most of whom were not even alive at that time. So we'd like you to convey to the people of France our very, very deep appreciative thanks. I'd like to present you with a copy of Never a Backward Step. It's written by John and Pat Edwards. It's a very well-researched and beautifully put together history of the 33rd Battalion. Just while I have this opportunity, I would like to thank Phil Curry for so graciously accepting to chair the proceedings today. And along with Phil, I would like to thank and acknowledge the members of the 2nd 33rd Battalion for your care and friendship towards Dad and Mum in the last few years, and for paying further tribute to Dad by coming today. Although I don't intend singling out names, I really would be remiss if I did not mention, and I won't go into details, but I would really like to mention Jenny Beath, Craig Bellamy, Jack Mallon and Bert Dawes. And then to our very, very special friends, the rest of you, thank you very much for coming, and thank you for all the things that you do for us all the time. Lastly but not least, the club have provided a very nice venue for us and have welcomed us and will shortly serve us a meal. Mr. Marriott, I wondered whether you might convey our appreciation to the management and staff for doing that for us. Thank you. As I said before, this is a very, very special occasion, so I would like to thank every one of you, each and every one of you, for coming and sharing it with us.
Well, thank you, Ruth. It would now appear that I can dispose of my notes on various matters that I had to mention in the way of thanks and appreciation. However, when the Consul-General gave a detailed outline of Cyril Herborn's service in World War I made a couple of notes this morning in reference to the association between our World War I unit and the 2nd 33rd Battalion, and the close association between members of the 33rd and 2nd 33rd Battalions started back in 1949, so over 50 years ago, when we held our first formal dinner at the old Imperial Service Club in Barrack Street, Sydney. And a small contingent of 33rd Battalion members, World War I, led by the late Major Roy Cormack, attended that inaugural dinner. In recent years, when we learnt that Cyril was the last surviving member of the 1st 33rd Battalion, we established a close bond with he, his wife and family until his death last year at the age of 102, which gives you some idea of the affiliations that we've had over the years, right up until the last surviving member, Cyril Herborn. Well, as I mentioned, the time is the essence as far as our program is today, and I'll now ask, who shall I ask? The Grafton RSL representative, Mr. Athol Marriott, to say just a few words in response to the thank you and appreciation expressed by Ruth. Thank you, Athol.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Grafton Sub-Branch, the RSL, and the Board of Directors of the Grafton Club, I'm honoured with the opportunity to say a few words. Firstly, I'd like to thank the French government and the French Consul, Monsieur Poimboeuf, for being here to present Mrs. Herborn with her late husband's medal, and to all of those who helped to bring it about. A special thanks goes to Ian Causley, our local member, who was always there to assist diggers or anyone he can. Digger Herborn was a strong supporter of the RSL and seldom missed an Anzac or a Remembrance Day service. He is greatly missed. Our only regret is that this medal could not have been presented to him in person earlier. On behalf of the Herborn family, I would like to thank everyone that has turned up this morning, and we will greatly miss our oldest digger in this sub-branch. Thank you.
Now, the next matter I'd like to bring to your attention is to call on Mr. Bert Dawes to make a presentation to Mrs. Norma Herborn. Thank you, Bert.
Thanks, Bill.
On behalf of the President, Committee, members of 2nd 33rd Battalion, and our President has requested that everybody else in this room pleasure presenting this floral arrangement for you. We have 1,000 seconds to deliver, and a nice card, two flags, flags of two nations, top, that's the secretary too.
Thank you, Bert. And finally, before we commence our meal, I too would like to add my appreciation and thanks. Firstly, to the French Consul-General. Thank you, sir, for your attendance here today, and also for that very, very fine address that I'm sure we all enjoyed. I would also like to thank, on behalf of my association, the two ladies from Veteran Affairs, Ms. Jenny Beath and Ms. Belinda Grafton. Those ladies have been of great assistance to our association in the formative and planning stages of this luncheon today. And I can assure you that it was very much appreciated when I could call on them in person at the Veteran Affairs building in Sydney. I too would like to extend my appreciation and thanks to the Grafton RSL Club, and I ask you, Ethel, again, if you would convey that to your management. There are two other thank yous that I would like to mention on this particular occasion. I'd like to mention John and Pat Edwards, the authors and publishers of Never a Backward Step. And I'm sure the Consul, when he has time to read that wonderful account of the 33rd Battalion, he will really appreciate the work that has gone into that particular publication and the research that both John and Pat did for it. I'd also like to thank them at this particular point in time for the binding of our own magazines, which started in 1949, and when I happened to mention it to John and Pat, they volunteered to have them bound for me. So they too will be there for posterity. I would also like to thank our member John and his wife Merle Goldsmith. As you know, Armidale is the centre of the 1st 33rd Battalion formation where the battalion was raised, and John and Merle have done much to further the interest in the association there, to the extent that through sheer determination they were able to have a ring of bells, 7 bells installed in the St. Peter's Cathedral in Armidale, and bell number 7 was dedicated to the memory of the 1st 33rd Battalion and the 2nd 33rd Battalion, the services rendered and in memory of the departed members. Finally, I would like to again thank Jack Mullen, Bert Dawes and Craig Bellamy for the work that they have done behind the scenes and without any thought of recognition for this wonderful award that has been presented today. Would you please join me in thanking those people for the work that they have done for both the 1st 33rd and the 2nd 33rd Battalion Associations. And finally, Jenny, I think that the meal is about to be served. Am I correct? And thank you one and all, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention here today and your attendance, of course. It has made 2 Herborn people very, very happy indeed. Thank you.
Very important.
And he had to go conference.
Rogues Gallery.
You know what?
It doesn't run on batteries, this thing. It barely runs on power.
Only runs on batteries.
Just about.
Must have to carry long extension leads with you.
Yeah. Having any more lead, I'm there.
You come on. Okay, you all ready to smile? Take one more.